On the 1st of May, International Workers' Day, we would like to take the opportunity to join National Chair, Comrade Ivan Jim, to stand in solidarity with our members of SRWP, other working class formations, and workers in general, not just in South Africa, but around the world. Workers, we are taking this time to affirm the history and to reinforce our commitment to all workers on this very significant day. And while 1st of May has various meanings and origins, for us workers, the majority of society, it is International Workers' Day. It is a day for us to celebrate the rich and diverse history of worker struggles, and very importantly, to commit and to take forward current struggles of the day affecting all workers. In 1889, at the first Congress of the Second International, an internationalist socialist body, a proposal was made to make 1st of May International Workers' Day. The proposal was made to commemorate the Haymarket Massacre that took place on the 4th of May, 1886 in Chicago, when a peaceful rally in support of workers striking for an 8-hour day turned violent and workers were attacked. This proposal was accepted by 1904 and became International Workers' Day. It became mandatory upon all proletarian organizations across the world to stop working and down tools on the 1st of May whenever it was possible. In South Africa, we have our own deep history of May Day, and it not only speaks to the needs of organized workers, but by the late 1980s comes to be associated with a day of resistance, not just against exploitation, but all forms of oppression, economic, racial, and patriarchy. In 1928, that May Day would be taken up by African workers en masse. In that year, thousands of African workers took part in a mass rally march. Between 1928 and 1948, May Day became an annual event drawing workers of all races across South Africa together. In 1950, the South African Communist Party used this day to protest and declare the Suppression of Communism Act illegal. The event turned violent, and unfortunately 18 people were killed in Soweto. In 1986, on the 100th anniversary of Haymarket Square, the labor movement, along with various other formations of the working class and anti-apartheid organizations, called for a national stay away. It was a resounding success. More than 1.5 million people stayed at home, from factory workers to domestic workers, and shopkeepers closed their shops. The power of the working class was made very apparent on the 1st of May in 1986. It was this power of workers, strongly allied to students and civic organizations, that brought an end to apartheid. And while in 1995, May Day was declared a national holiday, the demands and struggles of workers in South Africa have not been accomplished. The coronavirus has sharpened the contradictions of capital. It has demonstrated that what workers have always known, that capitalism is a system based on exploitation, oppression, exclusion, and greed. It is only through exploitation that capitalism can succeed. May Day must be a reminder to us all that today more than ever, workers, all workers, need to unite and defeat the system of exploitation, oppression, and exclusion. Today in South Africa, the top 10% own 85% of wealth, and the remaining 90% owns only 14.4% of the wealth. It gets even worse when you think that within that top 10%, only 3,500 people own as much wealth as the bottom 32 million people. With coronavirus, these figures will get much worse. With the onset of coronavirus, the International Labour Organization has estimated that internationally 1.6 billion workers in the informal sector will not have any income, lose their livelihoods, and this means no food, no security, and no future. What coronavirus has shown us around the world, that those who are most vulnerable and marginal are the largest victims to this pandemic. In South Africa, where the majority of society is vulnerable and workers have no safety or access to decent health, this pandemic could prove to be very deadly. Therefore, it is now in this moment that we need to make sure with urgency that we build our solidarity and find new ways of resisting the inhumanity of capital. In various periods of history, workers have organized themselves in far worse conditions to advance a better life for the majority of society. We as workers, we are the producers of society. We need to produce new ways of activism. We need to affirm the right to a decent life for all workers, from informal traders, domestic workers, factory workers, healthcare workers, agriculture workers, and teachers. It is now that the role and importance of workers who produce the wealth of our society and reproduce our social and cultural lives have become very important and brought to the fore. It is also those workers who toil to keep us fed and keep us healthy that come to the center and rise up in these moments of crisis. And it's like the British MP, Jeremy Corbyn, and Labour leader has noted, that it's in times of crisis, it is not the hedge fund managers and investment bankers that we look to, but the ordinary workers that we look to who keep our society going. Therefore, we must use this moment to affirm those workers. We must also use this moment to push the demands for compensation for the bulk of unpaid labor that is carried out by women in our society. The labor of taking care of the home, of cleaning, of cooking, and of reproducing society in general. Even in times of non-crisis, the work of these women go unnoticed without compensation. This cannot stay. We need to demand that the state compensate workers for this labor. Often in history, moments of great devastation has led to great advancements for all. Soviet Russia was built on the back of World War I, and various social welfare states in Europe come into existence after World War II. But this does not happen automatically. This work to build a better society comes on the back of hard work, solidarity, and struggle. Comrades, we need to take this moment to reinforce our commitment to the struggle. Another world is possible. Our task is that we have to struggle to make it.